Hello there. Welcome to Cities Skylines II. For this playthrough, we're basically just gonna get acquainted with the game. We're gonna be trying to build a mega city, try and get 100k, 500,000, maybe a million. Let's see how far we get before my PC decides to combust. But basically, that's what this is gonna be, a pretty efficient playthrough. You're gonna see a lot of squares. I'm not very creative, so you'll not be seeing a lot of variety in the build style, but we'll try and switch it up as we go. The first thing we have to choose though is where do we want to play? There's 10 maps and they have different challenges, lots of mountains. This one has a river going through, lakes, mountain pass, and generally just different types of topography. For this one, I think I want to do Barrier Island. I do like the idea of building basically a massive city on these two islands with maybe the little baby here, the little brother, and then working from there. So that is exactly what we're going to do. Calling it Luna would probably be interestingly enough, but I think Richbourough sounds posh enough. Let's go with that one. I'm going to keep natural disasters off, at least in the beginning. Probably going to make it a little bit more boring, but it's going to make the game a little bit more predictable. And that is kind of what I need to help myself out in the very beginning at the least. So we'll do that for now. We might turn it on later, but for the moment we're going to keep that off. So here we are. We immediately start with one square on the island unlocked, and we are going to have to start to figure out how we want to do things here. So initially the plan here I think is going to be that I want to make a kind of highway that follows the center of the island, which we can then create branches of. We also want a road that follows the edges to kind of alleviate a little bit of the traffic pressure, but that's going to be our two main, ways of doing traffic. We'll have to see what we do down with this island. It might connect it like this, then connect it to the road. But I think that is going to be the play. Now, we could of course start immediately by just doing this, but I feel like this leaves very little room on the right side and a lot of room on the left side. So we're going to do something a little bit silly here, which is to kind of go a little bit to the left there. Is that enough? Should I do more? No, that should be decent. And make a road like this, which should be pretty straightforward. Now, we could probably make this prettier, but we are going to be moving this this bridge too later on to kind of match that middle area, so we can have some buildings on the right and on the left side of our main way into the city, and that's going to be the play there. Now, in terms of how we want to build this, I'm probably going to build it in squares, but I'm also going to give you a heads up pretty early here that I'm probably going to end up flattening a lot of the topography here on the island. The terrain tool is free to use, and we can also use it to create more land if we feel the need. But I think I'm going to use it to basically just create a very flat and probably to some a pretty boring island with it. But I want to use this as a bit of an experimental run, so we'll go ahead and be a little bit boring in that regard. I think it should still be okay though, so we'll see what happens. If it is a single player game, I've said this before in other playthroughs, single player games, play them how you prefer. If you want to, create limitations for yourself, like F1 Manager, feel free. If you want to have a little bit more freedom, feel free as well. And potentially you could also go ahead and make as much flatland as you would. Potentially we could actually buy all these and just flatland all the way over to through the sea. That does also work. But for now, we'll just flatten out the area here a little bit around our city, and that'll give us a lot of working space. And that is kind of what I want here, just working space really. And it might be a little bit boring having a completely flat city, let's be honest, but I just want to see how big I can build this city when I don't really have any limitations, so to speak. And particularly here, we want to try and build a city as big as we can on the islands that we have available to us. So I'm probably going to flatten out this canal a little bit, probably kind of make a better edge here. I don't think I'm going to fill in this island, but I'm probably going to fill in this area and potentially fill in this area. So keep that in mind going forwards. I'm going to do a little bit of terraforming if you don't like that. then you have been warned. However, for now, I think the first thing we want to do here is actually create our basically first grid. And the grids that I enjoy using, or will be using for the most part here, are going to be fairly big. We do want to get rid of a little bit of the power grid here. In this case, this one and this one. And I think we'll start right here. And as I said, I'll be making grids for the most part. Now, I won't connect this probably to the main road. I might, we'll have to see. But if we do, we want to kind of make grids that are 240 by 112. So this is basically going to be a grid. And it is a little bit too much sometimes in terms of traffic, but this is what we'll be starting with. We'll change it up later on. Maybe make the grids a little bit wider in the sense that we do maybe 128 so we can get a walking road between them. But for now, we'll just be making these grids and working from there. Now, we also do want a highway kind of running through the center here. So we're kind of limited on how far we could go in any direction due to it. But honestly, that shouldn't be much of a big deal either. I think this is how far up we'll go though with this initial grid. And that should be just fine. So the way that I think we're going to do this is that we are going to be replacing a little bit of the road here. We are going to be making this road into a big one. And we're going to do the same up here. And I think we're going to do the same with this one. Just kind of have a little bit more movable paths, so to speak. Now, there is a little bit bad space here. If I did want to, go ahead and make a road kind of around everything, it's going to be a bit more challenging as a result. But we are still going to go ahead and do that. I do want to have a road that kind of curves around the entire island. And I'll be making it a little bit more prettier as we go. For now, it's not looking particularly great. But that shouldn't be too much of an issue here. Although, probably have made this a little bit too stretchy. But you get the idea of what I want to build here. Just a road that goes around everything. But we might need to fix this just slightly. Should still be a-okay. Now, in terms of where we want to place our industry, we should probably have a look at the air pollution chart. So the wind is going to the right for the most part. This would probably be the best place to, if we want to make a lot of industry because it goes straight out of the map. Could potentially place some over here too. We'll have to see where we have water to. Some down here, some over here. There is some over here as well and down here. So the way that we're going to get power for the city is going to be through basically the geothermal power plants until we can get nuclear, I'm pretty sure. So that is how we're going to be doing that. So for the time being, because we can't actually get, the points needed to get that going, we are going to have to buy a transformer. And we're just going to be buying power for the time being. Now, I do need to figure out also where we want to place our utilities. So, since I haven't unpaused, I don't think we can actually see the water flows. For the time being, we'll just make the road that I want to kind of have running along the coast here. And this turn here is going to be... I feel it's going to be really annoying to deal with. So what I'm thinking is that once we get better roundabouts, we're going to be placing one here. And we'll connect that to the main road to kind of make it look a little bit prettier. But at the same time, it's probably, as I said, not going to be looking great or anything. But the idea here is, again, very simple. We want to make a road that kind of follows the outline. And it's going to be one of those... I'll have to, beautify it later. But it's basically just going to be a way for cars to go ahead and transport themselves around the city. Well, I know that doesn't make much sense. Okay, let's see. Really wish this would tell me that should be a 90. It's not perfectly, so Okay, so that should be enough. Need one down. Probably one more down then. That looks decent enough. So, oh. Place it back into straight line. And if it's a little bit janky here, that will be okay. But yeah, this is basically going to be an initial grid. We're going to have some residential here. We're going to have residential here. Probably have the school here somewhere. And we'll place industry on this little island for the time being because of where the winds were blowing. So, unfortunately, we're going to have to demolish all of the older buildings here. It is unfortunate, but it is just how it be. And I also want to make a road that connects over here. Now, once we get districts, we'll probably change things around a little bit in terms of... I should probably use a proper road there. In terms of where heavy traffic goes, because right now the heavy traffic will go through the neighborhood, which, of course, is not great. So what we can do to combat that fairly early here is to actually connect another road here. And basically have this one work as kind of the addition here. It's going to mess a little bit up with the, the zoning in this area, but that's fine. Apparently I can't connect it here proper. Let's just do it like that, isn't it now? And we'll connect it later on in a better manner, but definitely like to make this bridge a little bit wider, but as you can see here, it just ends up in the water. So what we can do is, of course, make another bridge like so. That should give us more than enough connections to the industrial area. And again, this is just going to be an early game industrial area. We are going to be changing it around. This... Yeah, so if I extend this, it's up in the water. That's an interesting one. But yeah, as I said, this is just going to be early game industrial. We'll be moving the industrial as soon as we can because I do want to keep regular buildings over here once we get a little bit better. So the road network here isn't going to make much sense, but it's basically just to make the most use of the space. So don't worry about it. It is a-okay. Again, the traffic shouldn't be heavy enough before we move this that it'll be an issue. And we have wasted a little bit of space here, as you can see. A couple of units, but this should be more than enough for our city to start off with. So we'll place down some residential. We'll place down some stores. Honestly, let's do it like this. Split them around a little bit. And we'll also go ahead and place industrial over here. And with that, we can actually get time started a little bit. Keep it running. And while this time keeps running, I think we're going to develop this area. We're going to extend this area. And we're also going to go ahead and pause for a second again, because I've actually forgotten to put in water. And we can actually see now where the water is floating. So I don't think I want to get water from the industrial area, but I think I want to get water from here. Mainly because if we have a look at the water again, if we do anything in terms of polluting, basically sewage around this area, it's going to float into this channel anyways and get stuck in here. If we do it over here, it's going to kind of get in here. So I think the only place we can really place our sewage for now is over here. And I think that... Is it connected to the road? I hope so. Seems to be. But yeah, that is the only way we can really do sewage. Looks like it is properly connected. And we'll be switching out that sewage as soon as we can, so that we don't really, turn the oceans into, a not so oceany color, if you will. I do want to place a couple of roundabouts here on these 3 locations to begin with. And I think we'll place one there and also one there, just to make it a little bit easier. We'll keep the things as they are for this area. And as I said, for school, we'll probably place it here. Probably should have given myself a little bit more room here, because I do want to place a highway here down the line. Should still be okay though. We can probably get, you know, sound barriers on the highway later on. But this is going to be basically the main way that people enter the city, over the bridge. And I'm thinking of connecting another bridge, maybe something like this, or just straight over. And of course another one over here to begin with also, so we don't have a lot of influx from just one area. So we'll have to see how we deal with that, but that is further down the line once we get more boxes. For now though, I do want to develop this area, but we can actually go ahead here and also connect this like this for now, until again we buy more areas. That should be fine. And I do want to develop the area over here into probably a bit of a, you know, just a smaller residential. So we'll go ahead and borrow this one. And since this is going to be a fairly small area, we're just going to go ahead and use alleyways. And again, this is just going to be low density. So, well, it's probably not going to be looking the best it can. It's going to be good enough for kind of what we want to do. We could just do this. Do the same the other way. Although that is a little bit too grating if you ask me. So again, we are going to redesign this area later on with basically high density. But for now, we basically just need... Actually, I don't like how that looks at all. I think we'll just make something off of this road. Either that or we do this road. But yeah, I did not like how that looked at all. Even if it just, as I said, a bit temporary. So what I'm thinking is we take this, we make a road down the middle. And again, this is going to be a fairly temporary endeavor. But even then, we'll just go ahead and make some 90-degree bends. And use that as a basis of letting people live here. Very temporary, you know, setup, but that is fine. And we can actually make it a little bit nicer here by doing something like this. I think would be good. And could probably reconnect it right here, or we could stretch it over this way. But I think we just do... Just do this. Straightforward and simple. So a pretty small neighborhood here, but it should get the job done. And I just need to make sure that I place things where I want them. And I'm thinking that we also have a little bit of buildings here along the coast, but I don't know why it's so white. I can't actually see anything. And I'm fine with building here into this and into this. But since I can't see, we're just going to go ahead and blanket the entire area. Like so. And I also do want some buildings here. This road here will probably, hopefully not see too much traffic on. But either way, that should be a-okay. Yeah, wind power is not here. I don't really like using coal, even though you can get some power from it. I think our best bet is, as I said, as we unlock a tiny village, that which has borne fruit, rock musician mansion. I think the best bet here is to go for the geothermal one. It makes a decent amount of power. It does cost a little bit in upkeep, but we can sell that excess power, so it's not actually a big deal. And we've also actually unlocked a couple of things here. So we've unlocked the graveyard, and we also unlocked the medical clinic. So since these are both services, I think we're going to place the clinic. I'm placing it a little bit close to roundabout here, but it should cover the entire area. For the graveyard, I'm thinking of just placing it here for now. And then we can move it as we see fit. Or rather, I'll just place it here. And again, we'll just move it as we see fit. It's a temporary measure. We did also unlock the rock musicians house here. So it has a pretty short range of just 500 meters plus 2 well-being. So for now, we'll just place it here. We can also move these around as we see fit, so it's not actually a big deal. Just make sure that we have actually unlocked everything, so we don't have a yellow, or so rather a green dot in this case. And what I'm thinking that we do here is that we actually do get bigger roundabouts, just make our life a little bit easier. Bigger roundabouts does make your life a little bit easier. You can more easily plan. So let's go ahead and extend these roundabouts, extend this one a little bit, and that is going to make our life a lot easier when we can actually plan a little bit better ahead for the future. Now, we actually do have a bit of a wish here for medium density residential. So what I'm thinking is that we do take advantage of this and we plot a little bit of medium residential down here, the row houses, and that should be okay. Now, in terms of garbage, we don't actually need to do anything about garbage in the current edition. If you build a landfill, if you build a incineration plant, recycling centers, currently they will actually import garbage to fill with. So in the current edition, we don't need to worry about garbage, but if we had to, I'll probably build a landfill for now. Again, we don't really want to build it around this area, but we'll have to do kind of what we did here, a bit of a temporary measure. But so we can kind of skip it for the time being, that is what we'll do. Now, as I said, the main goal is to get power up and running, and I think we're going to do it over here, because we do have a bit of a pollution advantage. The winds should take it over to the coast. But the main problem is that we are going to be hitting this island. It's going to take a lot longer to get over here in terms of the triangles or the squares, so to speak. So we'll go over here first once we have enough squares. But for the time being, we'll just stay kind of where we are. And kind of the only thing we really need to do right now is just to sit and wait as the city grows, as we get more houses, and that is actually pretty decent. So that is what we'll do. I think I'll place some more houses here along the coast, which shouldn't be an issue. A little bit of housing. It's going to be loud, let's be honest. They're not going to like that, but we'll be kind of rezoning, replanning later on once we unlock better buildings, once we unlock high density. And the goal for now is just to slowly kind of grow. And with that in mind, I'm actually kind of tempted to extend this. To extend this side. And to do so, I think what we're going to do is actually extend this roundabout first and foremost. And it is getting to the point in now where we are getting a little bit too close to the potential highway. So this is kind of the limit of where we can develop our city. And let's see here. Does that fit? That should fit pretty well, like so. So this is where we'll have a final kind of residential zone. And I think the main way to get to this residential zone is going to be from over here, to make sure that we don't put too much traffic on the same street. And we want to kind of maximize the usage here. So let's go ahead and do it like this. Put this one straight. And here too, we want to try and make as big a grid as we can, but with 424, we can't actually do that. So what we're going to do is just do this, kind of. Although that isn't actually maximizing the grid now I think about it. We'll do this to start off with. We'll extend this one like we did, like so. And we'll go ahead and stretch this one over here a little bit longer. And if I delete that one, we should have a little bit of an opening here, but that's fine because we can just do this. And now we just fill in. That is horrible. That's a lot better. And as we fill in here, that should open a little bit of space. And unfortunately here, this isn't going to be a perfect fit, but it is as good as we can get it. And I'm also going to go ahead here and make a connection here. And also make a bit of a connection here. Although we unlocked the second milestone of a small village, a couple of points, 4 new slots. I'm just going to go ahead and make the connection there. So for the time being, this will be as it stands. I could, if we see bad traffic, connect the roundabout. But for now, we'll leave things as it is. And apparently, there's a huge design for commercial, but I don't know why the... Oh, there we go. It's because I had the map legend on. Why I can't actually see anything, so to speak. Getting blinded. I think what we're going to do here is place two commercials, like so. And we're going to be placing a lot of... Well, some row housing along here. And the rest we're just going to kind of fill in here with low density. Again, this entire neighborhood is going to be redesigned in the future. So it's basically just a stopgap in order to grow and get the points that we need to get that development. So it's a bit cheesy, but we'll live with it. See, with 7 slots now, we're getting closer to getting over here. We have enough to get there, but I think we'll need one more upgrade anyways, because I used a point. So in order to get the geothermal power plant, we actually need 3 points. 1 for emergency, 2 for the plant. So we're actually slightly further away than we expected. We've also unlocked the schooling services, so thinking that where we want to place the school on the highway is probably not a good idea. We place the graveyard and the medical very close. But what I'm probably going to end up doing here is placing a school over here, which again isn't the best way, but we're going to have to, and probably another school over here. For now, we have basically the entire area covered by just one school, but as the population in these areas grows, that one school isn't going to be enough.
A housing shortage is driving up prices in the area.
Now the second thing that I want to do here is actually remove these roads, honestly. Because what I'm thinking now is that we want to also place down the high school. And the high school comes with a bit of a benefit, because you can actually place down a pretty big, if you will, feature with it. And that feature is this sports field. We can slap it down like this, which is probably what we'll do. And I also do want to make a road that kind of follows that, then connects over here. That way we can place some services here. Now, having the school this close is probably not the best thing ever, the high school, because it's fairly loud. But the benefit of that stadium is outdoor recreation, which, you know, keeps your citizens from being bored. So it's not a bad idea. The other two here, extension wing, both of them goes on there, so we don't really need to make any extra room for space. So this works fairly well. Should be walkable, I assume, so I don't think we need to add any extras here. So that works well. So I think we can build a little bit more consumer here. I know that I call it consumer, commercial, but it's basically consumer. And that should be a-okay again. So yeah, looking fairly good at the current stage. We are losing money, 70,000, well, an hour, or a month in this case, so not 70,000 an hour, we're just losing 3,000 an hour. But we are getting a lot of government subsidies, we are paying for electricity, so it's definitely imperative that we get electricity up and running early, and it's actually a really good money maker, particularly early game. So that is also why we want to get that up and running as soon as we can. Apparently we're not paying, oh, we're actually paying upkeep for the imports as well. That's interesting. I don't think I've seen that before, so maybe there's been an update. Maybe I need to worry about trash. Am I paying anything for the export of trash right now? No. Not at the current moment. So, yeah, you don't really need to Don't really need to worry about that. For the time being, though, I think we'll just keep things running. Now, there is a demand for extra, extra commercial, but currently we don't need to. Now, we actually got large village unlocked, which means that we can go now and develop the power. So we'll go ahead and do that. And we're probably also going to move the industrial area to over here. So that is going to be the goal of what we're going to be doing with the next expansion. So we need to make our way over here, which, unless I'm mistaken, should be these 4 slots. We currently have 12 of them, so let's go ahead and do this. And then just add another couple. We do want to get as far left as we can before we make industry. And we'll have to consider if we want to keep the industry here, or maybe if we make an industry island, maybe we kind of split it 50-50, that we have a little bit of industry over here, some industry over here. Or we maybe just go ahead and make some industry along the southern, southern edge here. It depends. If we do have industry here, it's probably going to make this part uninhabitable. So that is also a concern that we need to make. But for now, this is going to be fine. If we need to, we can just, move the industry and wait a little bit, and that'll solve most of our issues. Now, in terms of getting over there, we are going to have to set up a road. And what I'm thinking here is that we make a pseudo highway, if you will, what is going to become the highway in the future. And I think that is going to be the best option that we have for now on making a road over here. But I also want to try and keep it straight, kind of the box design, if you will. So we'll do this. And we'll connect this road. Like so. And then we'll just get rid of the other parts here. And that should be pretty much what we're looking for. And then we just extend this one into the, sunset. Before we do that, though, I do want to do a little bit of landscaping. And again, just flatten out a little bit. I know that this probably is going to be not very positively received. But, again, single player game. Do what you enjoy. There's no real, problem. And I do want to see if we can build a very dense island. So I do need the space I can get. Again, really wish that probably going to be a mod at some point that makes this cost a lot of money, which probably would be a better way of doing it. But for now, we're just going to do it like this. Could probably also make the island a little bit closer to sea level if I was going to do this, which would probably make it a little bit prettier. But for now, this is going to get the job done. It's not going to look very pretty until I buy everything, but I'm going to put a little bit of extra work into the coastline. So we'll deal with that later. Okay. I think this will be it for now. Again, I'll put some work into the coastline later on. But for now, we do want to set up industrial, and more so than industrial, we want to set up power. Okay, let's put that into line. Like so. Oh, that is a crooked one. We don't want that. I do these in, batches just to make sure that I don't break the line. And this highway is probably not where it's supposed to be fair. So we'll have to do a little bit of redesigning. But I want to place the wastewater, sorry, not the wastewater plants, the geothermal power plants before we do anything else now. Then we can make a decision from there. Now, with the amount of water we have here, we can probably go ahead and I think maybe fit 3 plants, maybe even 4 in this area. So just trying to place it as close to the edge as I can. Like so. And what I'm thinking now, oh, we unlocked something. We'll deal with that once we get back to the city. And is this actually fairly 90 degrees? I think it is. So what I'm thinking that we do instead is that we use this as a guide now. And we redo the road which sounds stupid. But I think that's going to be the best way of doing it. And that should be a better one. We're not paying too much from this. It's a waste of money, I know. But it's a waste of money that I approve of. So that should make it a little bit better. Of course, if we... Yeah, that should be better in terms of making the kind of highway. Probably a little bit further to the south if we, you know, smoothen out this area. But for the time being, this should be good. Now, the second reason why geothermal power is good is that it costs 300,000 upkeep. We get 150 watts. But we can actually improve this by this one. 75k upkeep, an extra 50 megawatts. You can actually do the same here. Basically, same transfer. So you can actually improve it quite a lot with an extra 150 megawatts, meaning that this one produces 400. So if you take that into consideration, you can make a fairly decent chunk of money with that. But yeah, let's get the power hooked up. And I think with that, we're going to be seeing basically everything kind of switch around, going into the positives. And we actually can make specialized industry. Unfortunately, we haven't unlocked districts yet, so we can't actually ban basically, you know, industry from driving through the area yet, which is a little bit unfortunate, but understandable. But we have unlocked the natural resources, and we have a lot of oil here. We have some metals, some fertile land. But I think we're just going to ignore the natural resources on the islands for the most part. And if you want to go to natural resources later, once they've patched it, basically right now your industries won't use resources that you kind of mine locally or get locally. We can actually use these patches to get them. So that is how we're gonna kind of play that card, I think. I think that is for the best. For now, though, we are going to be setting up new zones of industry. And that is going to be the main thing here now. Because I do want to move the industry. We kind of have to, in order to make sure that everything doesn't get completely boomed, if you will. I didn't actually notice how long that was, so that is a little bit of an issue. But we can always fix that. Let's say that we go 240 here. That was a little bit off kilter. I feel like I need to sneeze, and that isn't really beneficial when you're trying to do precision work. Let's just put it like that. And this one can't really reach yet, so for now we'll just do this, and we'll extend that once we actually get to it later on. But yeah, this is going to be the industrial area. We're probably going to get the buses and things going later on, but now this is just going to be how it is. That'll be a-okay. Make an error here. Let's see. There we go. That's better. Okay, this is going to be the new industrial area. We're going to have a bit of a connection here. I should probably go ahead and embolden some of these roads just to help with potential problems with traffic. We are going to have to deal with that. But I think that is also one of those things we'll have to redesign later on, because I'm not certain yet if I want the industry to be in this area. It might be better to, say, move the industry to the other island. But this is basically kind of the limit of where we want industry to be. And we do want to remove this industry and move it over. So that is going to suck. Now, another thing that I want to mention before we go or finish this first part is that you can actually just do this if you have a building that is lacking customers. Because what basically that means is that they have a little bit too much competition around. Could mean. Usually if you just delete it, it seems to kind of fix that issue. Of course, it can pop back up, but it'll switch what kind of business they are, and that usually gets the job done most of the time. For this building, 3 well-being within 750 meters, we're just going to go ahead and place it here for now, in the middle of the kind of high density area, which shouldn't be an issue. And do we want some more commercial? Place a little bit of commercial here. Place a little bit here. Could place a little bit along here for now. And the next thing that we're going to be saving up for is actually the... I think we actually have enough for it. The water treatment plant. Now, this is extremely expensive, so I wouldn't necessarily advise this early on. But personally, I don't like the look, so to speak, of the sewage. And particularly the fact that it stays for quite a long time in the environment. You can already see that we have a blob here. This blob is going to be staying for a while. So we could, of course, make a bunch of these to increase purification rates. But what we're going to be doing instead is actually make a wastewater treatment plant. And as you can see, it costs 105,000 a month. It's pretty much overkill this early on. Because we're going to need 2 more parts. That increases the purification rate. But at the same time, it is what it is. It's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. And I think for now, we're just going to place it right here. I don't remember how big the pieces are, so we might need to move it later on. But they should be pretty much okay. And the extra XP actually upgraded us into a grand village. So, city is coming along nicely. So we get some more points. We can go for some upgrades. We have unlocked offices. Excuse me. Let me just have a quick drink. And that should make... it's a little bit interesting too with officers, but the thing that I want to talk about is that the advanced filtering system here costs 900,000 a pop, and it increases purification rate by 25%. So we do want to get that. Basically, I kind of forgot how big they are. It actually fits, but I'm gonna have to remove the road, and that's gonna be a bit of a pain. So we'll probably slap it in here for now, and probably just move this a little bit further to the right. How many am I off? Is that 3? Yeah, that should be 3 or 4 squares, I think. How big is it? 2, 4, 6, 8. It's actually 10 squares. Perfect. So what do I have there? 3, 6, 7. Yeah, 3 squares. So I need to move 3 squares to the left. But it costs 900,000 a pop, so that's going to make it fairly expensive. And we also have other things to be concerned about right now. But 50% purification is good enough for my people. We're going to get rid of the problem. We have fire and rescue that we've unlocked. We do probably going to need to place down a firehouse somewhere. We have police. We have now the bus depot, so we can actually start making bus routes from the city to the industrial area, which would be good. And we've also unlocked some basic parks that we can actually place down now and have our people enjoy. So I think what we want to unlock though are going to be these ones. They're a little bit better than these ones. They have good attractiveness, but we're going to wait with parks until we unlock the better ones to use, so to speak. Now there is a design for office, so we'll just get that placed before we go. And I think what we're going to do here is take advantage of this area right here. Yeah, let's take advantage of these 2 areas. We'll still want to place some, you know, utilities, police, fire, and rescue. We're going to need some more education, particularly college, universities, and that's going to be important too. Yeah. But it is nice that we've gotten some of the newer upgrades. We can actually make districts now too, so we can ban heavy traffic for industries. We can wait into pollution entity, then we can make it a little bit more of a, you know, livable area. But I think this is where we're going to end it for this part. Next time around, we're probably going to go ahead and start going into education. But I'd say this is a fairly decent start for now. Hope you've enjoyed this. And apologies for my coughing and my weird noises. It is winter. Where I live, it has arrived. And it's been hitting me fairly hard. So hope you still enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.